a homeless woman needs a safe place to park her car so that she can sleep overnight. She goes to churches thinking that's going to be the safest place for a homeless woman who is disabled to be able to safely park and sleep overnight, except it's not. They leave this on her car saying that they will tow her if she tries to sleep in their parking lot.
Perempuan ini diusir oleh pihak gereja hanya karena ia memarkir mobilnya di halaman gereja dan tidur di sana semalaman. Ia mengaku sedang mengalami musibah dan tidak memiliki tempat tinggal.
I've been homeless for 18 months. I don't know what else to do. I just want to park my car and sleep. I'm not bothering anybody by being here. I don't cause any trouble. All I do is park my car here and sleep.
Ironisnya, perempuan berkacamata yang mengusirnya adalah seorang pastor di gereja tersebut yang beberapa hari sebelumnya sempat berkhotbah tentang membantu sesama dan menunjukkan belas kasih.
That's it. I don't know where else to go. So what do you think you're going to accomplish by this, ma'am? Because it's not going to make you look good. I suggest both of you open the Bible and see. Look what it says about homeless people and poor people and what you're supposed to do. Because it's not this. It's not this. And you know it. But I expect nothing from the church. I hope you're not turning that off. Record it all. Put it on Facebook. It's not going to make you look the way you think it is. It's not.
You need to leave or I have to call.
You don't have to call the police. But you would. You would, because that's what kind of people you are in this church. I'm going to put this on the internet, and a lot of people are going to see it, and you're going to be really embarrassed. Tell me where in the Bible it says, let's be shitty to homeless people who just sleep in their car.
Pihak gereja dalam keterangan resminya menyatakan bahwa pengusiran tersebut adalah bentuk kehati-hatian dan upaya menjaga keamanan jemaat di lingkungan gereja.
Pastor threatening a homeless woman with MS to call the cops on her for sleeping in her car in the church parking lot. I had commented on their Facebook page before I even made that video. It was a post that they had made about donating these jackets for the homeless, and I commented on there, donation for who? You're clearly not helping out the homeless, so where are they going? It also mentioned that if they deleted the comments that they were starting to get, we would clearly know that they feel no remorse. So what do? Instead of taking accountability, they should just be like, I messed up. I'm so sorry. This is what we're going to do to change. You know what they do instead? They turn off all calls, block all emails. They deleted their Facebook just to not take any accountability.
Kejadian ini sontak mengingatkan publik pada eksperimen sosial Nikali yang ditolak oleh 26 gereja dan akhirnya justru dibantu oleh sebuah masjid ketika ia meminta sekaleng susu formula untuk bayinya yang kelaparan. Pihak gereja yang menolak membantu Nikali beralasan bahwa mereka sering menerima panggilan telepon penipuan sehingga harus ekstra berhati-hati.
Firstly, churches, pastors, and church elders recognize that we are stewards of the money that's been given to the church. So we want to use it wisely. Whenever people donate to the church, they give their offerings to the church from their hard-earned money, we who are in leadership look at that as a sacred trust. And so we want to make sure that we use the money in a manner that gets the most benefit and helps people that are really in need. So when you have somebody call your church that you have no relationship with, you don't know them, you don't know their background, you don't know whether they're being truthful or dishonest, all of those things, you just have to be a little bit careful. It's not my money.
Netizen Amerika merespons kedua kejadian tersebut dengan kemarahan luar biasa. Mereka menyebut penolakan lembaga agama dalam memberikan bantuan sebagai bukti bahwa lembaga-lembaga itu telah gagal dalam ujian iman mereka.
This has become a two-part test for American churches, and most are failing the first part, and now most are failing the second part. The second part is where the pastor comes onto TikTok himself or herself to explain why they said no. Not to reflect and say, hey, we failed the test, we will do better. No. They're coming on here all defensive, talking about we don't want to get scammed. So many people call up and ask for gas money. So many people ask for things and then go use drugs. Did Jesus teach you to look at strangers that way?
Netizen melihat gereja sebagai lembaga agama yang mendapat pengecualian pajak. dengan pendapatan bulanan mencapai ratusan ribu dolar, namun tetap gagal memberikan bantuan ketika dibutuhkan.
And my longtime followers know I've been banging this drum for years, but let's go through it again. 3 years ago, I put a video out sourcing a Pew Research study of how the average budget of a church that has over 2,000 congregants in America breaks down. And it stirred up a hornet's nest. But people need to know, okay? First, in America, the average monthly income for a church with 2,000 attendees is approximately $458,000. And 45 to 55% of the budget goes to pastoral staff and admin support staff. And listen, I'm not against pastors getting paid. I know tons of pastors in small churches who pour out their lives for their congregations. But I also know pastors in franchise church systems and megachurch systems who work less than 15 hours a week outside of Sunday, and they don't even write their own sermons. They download them from the internet or get them from their oversight system, which are designed with two purposes: to increase church profit and volunteering.
Sementara itu, para pemuka gereja kerap menampilkan gaya hidup mewah di hadapan jemaatnya.
See that go? See on them shoes? Get a shot of this, boys. Get close. Come on, man. Look, I paid a fortune for them things. Suck in there, man. See that go? Some of y'all got that in your teeth. Okay. Gold is very, very expensive.
And then way down at the bottom with a meager 5 to 7.5% is what most people think that they are giving to community outreach, missions, and charitable work outside the church walls. Let that sink in. Many, not all, but many American churches are not churches. They are businesses. And when folks are deeply entrenched in these churches' business systems, these CEO pastor systems, when exposed, they are taught to use a common manipulation tactic called DARVO: deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. It's a way for an institution to avoid accountability for their actions by denying wrongdoing, attacking the person confronting them, and then portraying themselves as the victim. This is the standard tactic used to shift blame and confuse the situation in these churches' business systems. And these church businesses will use DARVO to manipulate their own congregations to defend the church instead of listening to those critical of it or who've been hurt by it.
Uniknya, lembaga agama lain seperti masjid dan Islamic Center di Amerika pada dasarnya berada dalam posisi yang sama dengan gereja. Mereka juga bertanggung jawab atas keamanan jemaat dan bisa menjadi korban penipuan melalui panggilan telepon. Namun, mereka memilih mengambil tindakan yang berbeda.
And I just wanted to say, here in Cleveland, the Islamic Center, the mosque, which is near where I live in Parma, has a free medical clinic once a month, and anybody can come. Do you know any churches doing that? Just curious.
Hal ini tentu membuat kita bertanya-tanya, mengapa demikian? Antropolog ternama Margaret Mead memiliki jawaban menarik terkait fenomena ini. Menurutnya, tanda awal keberhasilan suatu peradaban adalah ketika masyarakatnya bersedia meluangkan waktu untuk membantu orang lain.
Anthropologist, and I'm going to put her picture up here, said the first sign of a civilized society isn't tools, isn't weapons. It's when someone stops to help another person. That's why this moment hits so hard, because we all recognize at a subconscious level what civilization really looks like. Helping someone else when they need it. It's not tools, it's not buildings. It's helping. That's what makes us civilized, human. And that's why this social experiment has gone viral. Because deep, deep down, we all know we function as a society only when we help one another, especially when it comes to institutions that exist for the sake of God. But can I add, next time you hear Allahu Akbar, God is great, you've probably heard that on the news, in a movie, on a headline, and it's always mostly been associated with being uncivilized. Now you know you've been played, because Allahu Akbar, God is great, is the yes. is the main reason that lady got a yes from the mosque. Allahu Akbar is simply gratitude to God. It's what we say when we go to prayer. It's what happens when pass an exam. God is great. It's what happens when we get a dream job or any job. God is great. It's what happens when we get good news. It's what grounds us when we get not so good news. Just as equally shocking it was to many that the churches didn't say yes, I hope it wasn't as abrupt or equally shocking when the mosque said yes, because that's the philosophy of Allahu Akbar. Please just remember this moment of this social experiment. It's a defining one because it actually shows the true face of Islam.